difficult for you to give amnesty.
All right. While sanctity of the ballot box is being safeguarded in our electoral process, violence by political actors remains untamed. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has asked security agencies to take decisive action against purveyors of violence and other undemocratic activities, such as vote buying, attacks on electoral officials, and disruption of voting. At a meeting with the Inter-agency Consultative Committee of the Election Security in Abuja, Professor Yakubu said security agents can achieve this while still maintaining strict neutrality as attention shifts to off-cycle governorship elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa States in November. Let's share the story with you.
It's 4 months to the governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. INEC has already started preparations to put all hands on deck for the exercise. The Commission aims to replicate what it did in the last general elections this time. The Commission asserted that Beavers recorded 98% success, but INEC faced challenges mostly having to do with violence in some parts of the country. At this meeting, the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, assures that his office will support INEC from the beginning to the end of the elections in order to stabilize the nation and make democracy permanent. He encourages the INEC chairman to do more in order to ensure the environment is conducive for the exercise.
The intention is to get ready and, with the support of the government, make sure that it's going to be an exemplary election that will signal what is going to come henceforth in Nigeria.
INEC, on its part, aims to tackle issues raised by civil society groups and the media to enhance the level of preparedness.
We should draw lessons from the challenges that occurred for improved performance, not only in the next general election, but also in the by-elections and off-cycle governorship elections, as well as other electoral activities to be held over the next 3 years.
As INEC continues to review the conduct of the last general elections, it is warning contesting parties in the 3 states not to embark on violent campaigns in order to avoid overheating the polity. Elections are scheduled to hold on Saturday, 11th November 2023. Mariam Mohammed, TVC News, Abuja.
Yeah, talking about vote buying, attacks on election officers, and destruction of voting, we saw a very worrisome dimension that I think INEC should be mindful of in the off-cycle election and in 2027 election, because if you don't want the election to hold in your opposition stronghold or your stronghold, you just make sure that you deploy thugs there, you disrupt everything, and that's the end of the whole thing. So it's as if, especially the general election, the last one we had, so if voters cannot come out confidently that on election day, I want to go and exercise my franchise, it's something INEC should work on.
No, there's nothing INEC can do about insecurity. It is the duty of the security agents to ensure that the environment is conducive for people to exercise their franchise. INEC's duty is to organize the election. INEC's duty has nothing to do with security. Every election, we hear so number, thousands of policemen will be deployed, Marine police will be deployed, the Navy, even civil defense. We get told that for this election, civil defense will bring also thousands. And on election day, sometimes the security agents just look away when talks are on rampage. And that's why the INEC chairman said, look, you can still do your job with even-handedness, with objectivity. And I agree that the security agents should do better. Many times, even INEC staff have been killed. Corps members serving their nation, working as POs, they've been killed. My own, special assistant used to, when doing his youth service, he was a PO in Imo State. And they came to him, they were telling him, we will kill you if you don't change this result. That is an INEC staff. He stood his ground. He said, no, I cannot change this. In the end, fortune smiled at him, and those guys, they did not pursue the matter further. But we've seen cases.
Quite dangerous.
Yes, to stand your ground at that time. People have been killed, you know. So what INEC needs to do is what the INEC chairman has done, reminding the law enforcement agents of their responsibility to police the election arena so that people can have the latitude to do what they like. What is the point of conducting all this show of strength on election day or some days to election, showing that you have deployed so many? You know, before the election here, we saw a lot of tanks.
Yeah.
Armored personnel vehicles moving around.
Yeah.
And some people were even claiming on social media that is where all kinds of asinine and senseless ideas are harvested. Those guys were saying, oh, Buhari has made up his mind to tame Tinubu. So these tanks, he sent out these tanks to ensure that because Tinubu cannot win without rigging, he has sent out these tanks to stop his thugs from rigging. They want to make sure that Asiwaju does not win Lagos, and from Lagos, they are going to deal with him in other places. On election day, I didn't see any tank being used to stop Tinubu supporters. At the end of the day, yes, in the second election, people were harassed. We got to talk about it. We are not hypocrites like some of those who abuse us. They can't own up to facts that we own up to. They think we are like them, so they always say, we know you will never talk about this. It's only Tinubu that you support. You will never admit that APC is wrong. I don't think that anybody can claim that he has criticized APC more than me. At a point, even some of my own friends and brothers, like Ayikoto, or even saying, you hate us. Bros, what have we done? PDP has greater problems than us. You don't talk about their own problem as much as you do APC. That's to tell you that they too do not usually like what I say about them. But those who are fixated to think in a one-track manner, we always say, okay, whatever you say is because you like APC that you are saying it. During that last election, people were harassed on their way to vote. In fact, a woman was beaten up and stabbed. The videos were everywhere. People do this to gain advantage. And it is wrong. And I remember saying it even on your view that they didn't need to beat those people to win the election. That if you mobilize sufficiently, you have greater number than those people. Look at the difference in mobilization during the first election and the second. Look at the votes that came out of Alimosho during the second election.
Got out the votes.
Look at, yes, because they mobilized better. And they even agents were paid earlier. Look at what happened. Look at what happened in Magodo here. They didn't have to beat anybody. Whereas APC lost there in the first election. In the second election, they won with a very comfortable margin. The mobilization was different. Agents were mobilized earlier. Some got their money as early as Thursday. In the case of the first election, some didn't get paid at all. The truth is constant. You know? So you don't need to beat people to win election. If you do your own work well, why would you be beating people and stopping them from voting? They have as much right to vote as yourself.
Honestly.
And I believe that we've wasted so much time on even this matter of a special election to try, a special court to try electoral offenders. Because I don't think INEC has got the funds to do this alone, to prosecute electoral offenders alone.
Manpower, everything.
Lawyers, how many lawyers do they have? And if they hire our friends who are lawyers, you know they have to pay. You know?
Have to pay.
A lot of money.
And they pay good money. They pay good money. Part of what they should spend on organizing election or training their ad hoc and regular staff, they will spend on hiring lawyers. I'm not sure that, I'm not saying it's not good to hire lawyers because my friends will fight me. But let us at least focus on the tangibles. These, our elections, the attitude of our politicians to elections has to change. This winner takes all attitude is what pushes people to think that, look, if I don't go and disrupt the voting in this area, it will gain advantage. And if you go back to what happened this last election, especially the presidential election in some of the states, people were beaten up and so many ballots were cancelled. In Sokoto, in so many places where INEC saw the violence took place, they cancelled. I think there has to be a way to get around that because I see people who know that they can't win if the process is transparent.
Yes.
I see them deliberately instigating violence. Where their opponents are strong.
Yes.
It has become a strategy. So maybe going forward, every election year, preparation for another election year, INEC always meets with stakeholders and people will come up with ideas that will be used to do another electoral act for that election. So maybe for the 2027 election or 2026 electoral act, some of the feedback that they got from people about handling such situations, they should be able to incorporate them into the electoral act. You can't be beating people where your opponent is strong, and at the end of the day, they will now cancel the election. By doing that, they've robbed your opponent and given you an advantage.
Mayor, I don't think that in all this, the security agency, they seem to be overwhelmed. If you look at the last election,
I think the problem has to
do we have enough manpower?
That's the problem. The problem is lack of manpower. We don't have enough security agents to go around all the polling units. That is the fact. Because, yes, before the election, they will say they were ready, but they do not have those to man those polling units. And the problem is that in some polling units, you probably see a police officer that's not even armed.
I think that's what the lost is.
That's what I'm saying.
They must be harmed.
So that's the problem. If there's a police officer, for example, who is not armed at a polling unit, and then thugs come, what do you expect the man to do? How will he stop those thugs from doing things that they wanted to do? That's part of the problem.
I've seen on election day, policemen gunning down people trying to snatch ballot box. It happened even during this last election.
So they should, because they should be harmed. Because in some places, police officers, they don't have anything. They will just stay there. And when you do that, they are at a disadvantage because the person that is the person that is coming is harmed. You are not harmed.
I think they should review that.
I think they should review that because it is important that
look at
if you are saying you are doing security duty, you must be seen to be able to have means to impose that security. That's two. I do not agree with them, and I hope that they will be able to change it in the next electoral cycle. It is not good to say that anywhere there is violence, you are going to cancel. It doesn't make sense to me then and now. Because if you say that if there is violence in any place, you are going to cancel. As a politician, I will look at the stronghold of my opponent and go and instigate violence there, and they will cancel. And I will be advantage as a result of that. So INEC should look at that. It is not right for them to say, yes, I know that they're trying to do that to discourage violence, but it is something that they should look into. We must be able to get more manpower to man these polling units. Those people must be armed. In fact, that should be like a security outfit that will be moving around the state to see like a rapid response squad that will be able to respond to act of violence in any polling unit. It's important for them to look at that too, because the problem is that whether we like it or not, there's going to be violence during the elections.